Is anybody there? Do you have the newest Living Corpse comic book?
You're looking for the newest Living Corpse book? It's a hot item, but today is your lucky day. Sorry for the scare, little girl, but what I meant is that we have one issue left. Bitch.
Thanks, asshole.
It was just as tough to get into movies as it was to get into comics, that I was like, let me just put them both together in the same thing and make kind of like a horror comic with a superhero feel, and just kind of went from there. It kind of started to evolve. We started sketching, and Ken and I both draw, and so I would draw a version, he would draw a version, he would draw one with the nose pushed up, I would draw one with the nose a little longer. It's like it gets further. He's always going to be a zombie, but he gets further and further away from it being an actual zombie comic. And I think that's the fun part, is that it kind of skirts the line. But one of the things we did was, we gave him like an underbite, so his bottom jaw was like stick out more.
Well, we wanted to do a zombie comic, but it is like everything's been done already. I think Walking Dead was maybe up to issue 10 by the time we started. And we wanted to do a zombie comic that was something a little different. So we decided that originally it was the 0 issue that came out, the origin issue, was going to be a one-shot, and it was just going to be kind of like your typical story where a bunch of zombies like break into a house, they're eating people, but the whole time it's kind of like told from the point of view of the zombie. And we were going to write it like he was like a crackhead that really couldn't control himself. And like I guess like halfway through we kind of like fell in love with the character, and we're like, we keep working with this guy. We need a reason to keep him around. So we're like, well, let's do something different. Let's have him a zombie good guy.
A pinup. That's basically how I got in with the corpse. I got a pinup. Ken sent me something, colored it in. Got it to him right after the first trade came out. The second trade came out, and it was in there. About 2 years later, Buzz contacted me and wanted to know if I could be their colorist full time. So, jumped on.
People are like, well, your comics are out, and you got 2 trades, and there's a movie, and it's like, you should be happy and be done. It's like, well, I mean, Batman's still out, and Bob Kane's dead. So it's like, I'm trying to, we wanted to create something that would outlive us. Not so much be the best artists or writers. Whatever your goal is, there's probably a deeper goal. So being Jim Lee or being whoever, being the best artist was, being a good artist was important, but not being the best. Everybody wants to be the best and get paid the most, and it's not important. What's important is, longevity, consistency.
So the way we usually do the Living Corpse comic is me and Buzz get together, we talk about what we want to do, and we got together and we just started throwing out ideas for the different thing. And you get a big pile of ideas, and then I take that home and make a cohesive story out of it, and try to beginning, middle, end. I'll do really rough like basic shapes. And most people can't tell what this is going on here, but Buzz has been working with me so long, he can look at it and knows exactly what's going on there. So I give that to Buzz, and he tightens it up. He tightens it up to nice clean pencils, and then he gives it back to me, and I throw down the inks and clean it up. And from after this stage, I take it in and I scan it in into Photoshop, and I send it to our colorist, Blair Smith, who takes it and just does like beautiful colors on it.
Because I work in the sign industry and I have access to Corel Draw, I'm a Corel Draw guy. Copy it because I'm going to use it in several spots, but here I'm going to erase it off of here. Top. So if I'm going to move this up here in front of the moon, I'll probably drag it behind it. There. I'm going to move this one up. And see the effect I'm able to generate now by keeping a non-gradient. Before I had the gradient, and now it's my effect on top of a flat color, which I kind of like it a little bit better. So I think I'm going to do that for each of these. And give it a little bit of a blur to it, just to basically keeps the colors in there that I'm looking for. On one of these tablets, see, I find myself, I'm doing it now, I'm just looking here. It's just a lot easier to look here and go than down here. Once I get down here, I find myself having to go all the way to find these little teeny things, whereas here it's just a lot easier. I flatten all these out to see them like a TIFFs, and I'll drag all of them back to Dropbox. And at that point, Ken has the job of word bubbles, which is his favorite part, he says, because he gets to write jokes and have fun with the character. Look at all the things that Ken, Buzz and I have done, and he might pick up something and make a joke about her hair or something, because in the last page I just did, her hair turned green, which has never been green. It's always been blue. I drew it green for some reason, then I went to the convention, I turned to Buzz and Ken, I'm like, what do you think? She's hot with green hair, so.
I got into Living Corpse, just found it at my local comic book shop about 10 years ago. Came to this con, randomly bumped into Ken and Buzz, realized they were local. We got talking, got to be friends. Buzz and I ended up working together at a haunted house at one point, and he saw that I made latex masks. We started talking. It just kind of naturally materialized friendship and business relationship. And about a year and a half ago, he asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a Living Corpse mask?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we got together, we worked out the numbers, I sculpted it up, worked with him and Ken for a couple weeks doing the, just making sure that they liked the design, and there it is.
How I met Buzz and Ken was actually here at Monster Mania. We had kind of set up tables, and kind of like what happens at conventions where you look across and you kind of become friends and stuff. And this has been like 7 or 8 years now. I saw these guys when they were the only ones doing zombie portraits, and the only guys that were saying, "Come get yourself drawn as a zombie." And it's kind of exploded from there. And they were really on the ground floor of the Living Corpse, and now it's become much better. When I released No Clowning Around, Buzz and Ken and Blair had seen the film and really liked it, and they wanted to talk and do like kind of an offshoot of the one character, Mumbles the Clown. So we have Mumbles the Clown, we have Trixie, and we have Mr. Peepers. And they were in the Living Corpse Haunted issue that came out. And it was awesome for me because someone that's a comic book fan like myself, it was a great opportunity to see something that I created and something that I portrayed in these movies actually put into a comic. So it was like a fanboy's dream come true, and Ken wrote the story. It was a 4-page story, and I loved it. I thought it really picked up well right after the movie did. And, I'm so happy for these guys to really get the success that they're getting and really be recognized,
Hey, it's Big D talking about the Living Corpse here at DanCon 2014. I just want to give a little bit of history. I'm a big fan of the Living Corpse. I've been a fan right before the whole Living Corpse thing really blew up. Once upon a time, I'm on a forum called comicmonsters.com, and the guys that create the Living Corpse, Buzz and Ken, sent me a complimentary 0 issue back in the day. But I just want to say, happy 10th anniversary of the Living Corpse. Keep on making those books, boys, and we're going to keep on buying it.
My name's Drew. I sing and play bass for Hammer Fight. We're here tonight in beautiful Atlantic City, New Jersey. Finish off our Jug of Tour, Volume 3. I've known Buzz for probably almost 10 years now. Started doing the comic, and then when the movie thing came through, he called me up and he just said, "Hey, you want to write a song for our movie?" I said, "Of course." That was that. Check it out, kids. The Living Corpse. The Adventures of the Living Corpse. It's good shit.
Who won't keep your devil? Recognize it all.
Why did I come back to life?
Here's where the purpose, your purpose, will become clear.
I need to find my son.
There was an ad for from Justin Ritter, the director, or something about who wants to make a zombie movie based on a comic, or a zombie comic based on a movie, or something like that. So I sent him an email. I was like, hey, here's our site. We had a website. You know, I was like, check out the work. Let me know what you think. And he got back to me right away. It was like, hey, you know, let's talk. Can I call you? So we started talking, and so they were like, you know, will you take, you know, 1%? We take a low percent. And we were like, sure. You know, we have nothing. We have no publisher. We'll take anything we can get. And we debated it for a little bit. Talked about the ups and downs, and the possibilities, and that, you know, a lot of times your first deal is not the best deal. And I've heard that from the guy that made The Simpsons. I've heard that from the guy that made Family Guy. Like that all of their first Hollywood deals were really kind of where the artists don't make out real well. But it was a foot in the door.
And we all started talking back and forth, and they really liked our ideas. And it was pretty much like a fully fleshed out idea that they could just run with. So they were like,
animated movies take about 3 to 5 years. So, but now that's all said and done, and it came out and it premiered at San Diego Comic-Con to like a sold-out crowd and did really well. And you know, the rating came in at like a rated R, which was more than what we wanted. We wanted the PG-13, so that kind of messed it up for like store sales at Walmart and stuff like that. But I think we had a great experience, and it definitely put our foot in the door. And now I think we have our whole leg in the door. Like it, you know, the negative effects in your life, it can put strain on, like, you know, your relationship if you're in a marriage, or because you know it's a lot of time, you know, and energy, and I you know, I think one of the things that I think drew me to the industry of drawing cartoons and comics was the struggle. You know, that you know, they were people too, you know, and it wasn't always great. I mean, I think almost every creator of the major characters was struggling somehow as a child to like a young adult, and then it was in their youth that they were like, this is what we're going to do. And I'm sure they struggled throughout the rest of their lives, but because life is a struggle. But you know, you hear that in comedy too, that comedy comes from pain. You know, and a lot of comedians, you can tell, like when they tell their jokes, that joke is hilarious because it rang true somewhere that they might really be going through it.
That's true.
So I think that's key for people to know, you know, and the shout out to that is that, you know, get out there and support your artists and support local art and support, if you know someone, you know, support them. You know what I mean? Even if you're not really into it, just support them just for the sake of like trying to help nurture creativity. You know what I mean? Because what else is there to nurture? You know, war, like that's its own thing.
The day job, doing the day job and then coming back and then doing what I love at nighttime, it's tough to want to do the comics but have to do something else and deal with that part of the the industry that I'm in is not as creative as drawing the living corpse and other fantasy monsters and superheroes. So really I just look forward to getting out of the day job, coming down here and working on this and moving forward and getting myself a trade book and any kind of comic work I can get myself into.
The toughest part? Making money, probably. It's like, it's pretty tough. You got to work a lot, but it's worth it because it's not like you're digging ditches for a living. You're spending 12 hours a day drawing something you love to do. Like most guys go out during the weekend and go jet skiing or hiking. What I do is work on corpse. So it's like I stopped drawing other stuff for a while to draw some corpse stuff because it's the most fun. It's our universe that we can just play with and do whatever we want. There's no rules. We're like, hey, let's do the corpse fighting Yetis. Let's do it. And we can do it. Nobody tells us what to do.
I'll take this one. This one's in progress. It's almost finished. It's like Casey Jones is Batman and Raphael's Robin. Jumping over the city. Still needs a little more color. And then I have a classic first shot of Batman Bruce Wayne Bob Kane sketch that I redrew in the same position. So it'd be like an homage piece. And I still need some more gray work like up in here, but that's like the classic Batman jumping pose, which was actually a swipe that Bob Kane stole from a Superman picture.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It was really funny. But he admitted it years later. Yeah, we would open a book and read it, and it would be signed. And it would be like, wow, yeah, it's so personalized, you know? And so, being sketch artists, we were just like, hey, what's better way to sell a book to someone is give them a sketch on the inside, too, since we're the artists as well. We try to do it with every book. We try to do it with as much of them as we can because it's fun. This one's not drawn on. It's got a cool, like, watermark in the background. And then we just do a sketch and marker here.
A lot of times when people come to me with comic ideas, the first thing I think about is have I seen it before? That's like the first thing I think of, because a lot of times people will just pitch you an idea and you're like, oh, it sounds like this. But that's like the first thing. If you're going to make something, come up with an idea, it needs to come from a place where there's an absence of that idea in the market. You know what I mean? Like you want to be inspired by stuff that's you've not seen. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, a lot of the industry is kind of inspired by stuff that's already successful. They're like, oh yeah, this is doing really well, this is selling really well, people really like this, let's make something like this. And that's kind of how the industry does work. But if you want to make a comic, you want to make a new idea, it needs to come from a place where you're not seeing it. I co-created a character called the Living Corpse, which is basically like a zombie superhero. And we did it in 2005, and we sold the rights to be made into a movie before we had it published with like a real publisher. So it was kind of like backwards. And from doing that, I think it was a true example of doing something that really wasn't around. I mean, there's some zombie superheroes like Simon Garth and Marvel, and there's some other stuff that's out there that's independent, but it came from a place where we hadn't seen it. Walking Dead had just kind of hit the surface, and it was doing really well, and so we wanted to do something with zombies that was the complete other end of the spectrum, something totally different. And so that's where you want to come up with ideas. It's from this ether of stuff you're not seeing. I think that's the best way.
But it is good because right now I have some revisions to do where someone wanted some effects outside of the background that was on a layer, and it's just a matter of clicking a button to turn it off or change the color. If you do everything flat on one level, revisions get very hard. But when you're doing color, a lot of times I don't get what time of the day it is. So those are the things that are fun for me. I get to decide the mood, the lighting, the temperature of the room. You can work a couple pages, all cools, and then flip a page, and then you get this bright, punching color. It has a lot of power, a lot of control with the color in that aspect of storytelling.
These are the first 3 issues. It'll be issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. And the story goes, to Egypt. We kind of go back completely we're talking about a dead guy here who has a mind of his own. So we're talking about what is that? That's essentially what's the personality of a dead person? And the first thing that came to my mind were mummies, because you're always looking who were they? What were they? And so we had this idea that, well, if the living corpse is, maybe there's more than one. Maybe there was a previous him at one time. Like maybe there's a 10,000-year-old version of the living corpse. And we thought that, started playing with this idea like past lives, who he was before he was the living corpse as a human, and then even further was like, what if there was more than one of these guys? Kind of like a mantra. And so we had this ancient character here that we call the Creep of Souls, and translated kind of like a gatekeeper as well. And I don't want to give away the story, but he gets freed, and the corpse kind of has to battle him. And so it's almost like fighting like a 10,000-year-old version of himself. But we thought it would be kind of funny because with the third story arc and the third series, you got to take chances with ideas that you didn't do in the first two. Because the fans, they want new stuff. They don't want to see the same stuff over and over again. They're always looking to be impressed. And so rather than worrying about impressing them, you just try to worry about being creative and staying creative, and keeping a creative edge and keeping your mind open to the ether of ideas that are evolving around you every day.
Is issue 1, its cover. Basically, then we move over. There's the second issue, third issue, fourth issue, fifth, and the final issue of Relics. So this way, you can grab all 6 issues, put them all together to get one giant connecting cover.
But for starting your own comic, I'd say do what you want to do. Because most likely you're not going to make money from it. If you do, good, but most likely you're going to be doing it for fun, so you might as well do what you want to do.
Cross-pollinate. Do anything you can, whether it be someone's logo, writing for somebody, doing concepts with them, beginning concepts, storyboarding, anything. Don't pigeon yourself down to I only do pencils or I only do inks. You're going to be better at one or the other. The digital computer, it's hard because you have to get a computer, you have to get the software, you have to practice. It's the same thing with the pencils. The pencils, you got to practice. Your hand is a muscle. It's the same thing as karate. It's years and years of practice. You're only as good as your last drawing.
I would say don't give up. I think one of the things that kept us going was Ken likes to say we're too stupid to quit, and I like to say we don't take no for an answer. So if you have a goal and you get to it, or you're face to face with it, and you don't complete that goal, you don't make that goal, don't let that be the end right there. Set a new goal, and set short-term goals. Like I want to draw this by the end of the week, or sometimes you set yourself up for such a big goal to reach. I want to make a comic, I want to sell 1,000 copies. It might be too high if it's your first comic. So maybe, how about having a goal that is, you just want to make a comic. So practice, set short-term goals, and try to achieve them. Because achieving very short-term goals will eventually get you to achieving long-term goals. And so I can remember being 15 and kind of out in the yard playing and thinking to myself, one day I want to make a comic book and I wanted to make a movie about it. And now I'm 37 and it happened. I think it has everything to do with the fact that I never gave up. That's how it happens. You just can't quit.